Welcome back to Riley Every Day, and today I'm going to tell you 10 things you need to know about Duke's Khaman Maluach ahead of the NBA draft, so let's get into it. The first thing to know about Khaman Maluach is his upbringing is characterized by perseverance in the face of injustice. He was born in Rumbek, South Sudan, but at a young age, his parents sought asylum from a country wrought with civil war and government instability. They moved to Uganda, where Maluach himself told ESPN he doesn't remember when they got there, all he knew is he grew up there. The second thing to know about Khaman Maluach is he initially gravitated towards soccer. It wasn't until his teenage years where he picked up a basketball. That's even more impressive when you consider he's on the verge of becoming a lottery pick after just playing the game for a little under 6 years. The third thing to know about Khaman Maluach is Luol Deng's influence on both his life and his basketball journey. The former Duke star is also South Sudanese, and he too grew up as a refugee. And in his post-NBA career, Deng has essentially built the South Sudan national basketball program. And it was at his foundation's camp in 2019 when Maluach first started to play. Going off of that leads us to number 4. Maluach didn't exactly turn heads the first time he played at Luol Deng's camp. Deng's brother, a Jew, said that Maluach didn't really stand out. Even his height, it wasn't all that uncommon, especially among the other Ugandan basketball players. A Jew recounted Maluach working on the side with coaches, just learning the fundamentals, figuring out how to dribble. However, a Jew also remarked that Maluach's IQ and his ability to pick things up quickly were tremendous. And that leads us to number 5. Just 2 years later, Maluach earned an invitation to the NBA Academy Africa, where he received top-notch coaching and played against some good competition. From there, he was selected to play in the Basketball Africa League, which was a top honor and gave him a chance to showcase his massive potential. And in the 23-24 season, he played 9 games in the BAL qualifiers and averaged 19 points, 14 boards, and 3 blocks a game. And that brings us to number 6. That following summer, Khaman Maluach represented South Sudan in the Paris Olympics. But even before the Olympics kicked off, the South Sudan team gave the U.S. all it could handle in an Olympics showcase match. The 43.5-point underdogs built a 16-point lead over Team USA, and it took a late-game rally plus a game winner from LeBron James for the U.S. to come out with a 101-100 victory. In that contest, Maluach scored 7 points, grabbed 3 boards, and blocked the shot in 12 minutes. The seventh thing to know about Khaman Maluach is his defensive tools translated immediately once he stepped on the floor at Duke. The Blue Devils held 10 of their first 15 opponents under 65 points, and 4 of those opponents failed to even score 50. A lot of that can be attributed to Maluach, who just shut off the water at the rim. Number 8. Duke's interior defense was stifling all season. They were 3rd in the country in defensive 2-point field goal percentage, but they upped the ante in the postseason. In 8 games encapsulating both the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament, only one opponent scored over 32 points in the paint against the Blue Devils. That was UNC in the ACC tournament semis. But their brilliance was on full display in the Final Four game against Houston, where Maluach and co. limited the Cougars to just 20 points inside the paint. So a little bit of a silver lining for at least his pro prospects in what was a crushing loss. But Maluach isn't a slouch on offense either, which gets us to number 9. He ranked 2nd in the country in offensive rating, and that was due in large part to logging 77 dunks on the season, which was 2nd most all-time from a Duke freshman. And his 71.2 field goal percentage also put him 2nd all-time among Duke freshmen. And finally, the last thing to know about Khaman Maluach is that he possesses otherworldly physical tools. Now, this didn't really surprise people at the combine, but he measured over 7 foot without shoes, had a 7'6" wingspan, and a 9'6" standing reach. Per Nick Kalinowski, both of those latter numbers rank in the 95th percentile. And I think when you factor in his size, his athleticism, the defensive instincts, it gives Maluach a really high floor when it comes to being an NBA prospect. So that's 10 things you need to know about Khaman Maluach.